Chapter 1, Awakening of Primo. Primo's eyes shot open, and for a moment, nothing registered. Then the panic hit. He was lying on a floor that was white, not beige, not off-white, blinding white. The walls, the ceiling, the floor, it all gleamed like freshly fallen snow, sterile and unwelcoming. Okay, what the hell, he muttered, sitting up and spinning in a full circle. Nothing, no doors, no windows, no furniture, just white. His gaming instinct screamed for an exit, but there was none. He jumped to his feet, pacing, frantically slapping at invisible walls. Hello, anybody here? Help, hello. His voice echoed in the emptiness, swallowed instantly by the all-consuming whiteness. And then, without warning, a holographic figure flickered into existence in front of him. It was a humanoid AI projection, glowing faintly, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to see right through him. Who? What are you? Primo stammered. I am Maximus, the hologram intoned in a calm, mechanical voice. You have died in your sleep on Earth. Primo froze. Wait, what? Died? In my sleep? That can't be real. I was just gaming. I was literally winning a raid. Your physical form on Earth has ceased to function. You are now in a transitional state, awaiting integration and assignment. Maximus' tone remained perfectly neutral, yet the words carried weight heavy enough to knock the wind out of him. Assignment. Integration. Bro, I'm not ready for this, Primo muttered, rubbing his face. I wasn't even done hitting my stats leaderboard this week. Your talents have been noted. You have been selected by 2 godly beings to represent humanity in the Universal Fighting Tournament, Maximus explained. It is held every year across the multiverse. Humans have historically been weak compared to other races, vampires, werewolves, elves, demons. None have ever won. They hope you can change that. Primo blinked. Tournament. Wait, humans suck. You're telling me I get picked for the universe's most dangerous fight? Because I'm a human. Yes, your strategic thinking, creativity, and unconventional approaches make you a unique candidate, Maximus replied. And unlike your past life, here you may design your own character, race, class, skills, abilities. Your choices will determine your survival and potential success. Primo's pulse quickened. Wait. I get to choose what I am. Like, I could be a demon. Or a vampire. Can I go full boss mode? Maximus gestured, and suddenly a holographic library of classes expanded around him, stretching infinitely in all directions. Primo's jaw practically hit the floor. Okay, that's a lot. Hundreds, no, thousands of classes floated before him, glowing and shifting with energy. He scanned rapidly, eyes catching names like Blade Dancer, Dragon Knight, Elemental Sage. Nothing seemed to match his style. Then he saw it, Summoner of Bosses, SSS-Rank mythical class. His heartbeat jumped. This one, he muttered, almost whispering. The description detailed the ultimate power. He could summon any SSS-Rank dungeon or world boss he had killed, or helped kill, to fight for him. His mind raced. This is insane. I could literally call in bosses like in my games. Maximus' holographic gaze seemed to appraise him. Do you require any additional attributes to maximize your potential? Primo smirked, already thinking about his style of combat. Yeah, I want my body to be made of liquid antimonium. Like Terminator level. I want to form claws, blades, like Wolverine, whatever I need. Request acknowledged, Maximus replied. Integration in progress. Streams of light coursed over Primo's body as he felt a strange, fluid-like strength flowing through him. You are now capable of forming weapons and claws at will. Primo flexed experimentally, forming sharp, metallic claws from his forearms. Oh, this is tight. Wolverine who? This is Primo. He grinned, punching the air lightly and testing the reflexive speed of his new body. Your class and powers are now fully registered. Prepare for immediate teleportation to the throne of the godly beings, Maximus said. Before Primo could argue, the floor beneath him glowed, and he felt himself lifted, suspended in light. A tingling sensation rippled through him as the world around him blurred. Moments later, he landed softly on a colossal platform, stretching into infinity. At the center, 2 towering godly beings sat upon ornate thrones, radiating power that made even the air feel heavy. The gods turned their gaze toward him. Welcome, Primo, one intoned, voice deep and resonant, vibrating in his chest. The other's eyes glimmered with curiosity and amusement. You've chosen wisely, the first continued. And so, as a sign of trust and preparation for the tournament, we grant you your talent, Infinite Enhancement. And weapon of your choice. Primo's head nearly spun. Infinite what now? Infinite Enhancement, the god clarified. Weapons, items, and equipment can be upgraded using points earned from defeating monsters. The higher the level of the monster, the more points you gain. You will find this skill invaluable in your journey. Primo processed this, grinning like a kid in a candy store. So, I can take any sword I find, make it better, and stack points like in my games. Oh man, I am so ready for this. Primo raised his hands. Hey, I need one more thing. And that is the godly beings asked, I need a golden bow of light. When I pull the bow back, an energy arrow formed, and the longer I hold it, the more powerful it becomes. The godly beings wave their hands. And out nowhere a golden bow radiating with light hover in front of Primo. Notice. The bow of immortals level 1. Attack 200, 2000 level 2 locked, level 3 locked. Primo grabbed the bow in awe, and pulled the bow back. And an arrow formed and shot. It rippled through the air and at 50 meters it exploded. Primo was left with his mouth open. The gods shared a faint, knowing smile. Remember, Primo, the second warned, you must hide the full extent of your powers. If other races discover them prematurely, they may attempt to kill you before you can fight at full strength. Primo saluted with a grin, pretending to be serious. Got it, boss. Top secret. But don't worry, they're not ready for Primo. Maximus materialized beside him, still calm as ever. Shall we begin? Primo rubbed his hands together, eager and alive. Oh, we definitely shall. Let's get this adventure started. And with that, Primo, the summoner of bosses, stepped fully into a universe that was bigger, stranger, and far more dangerous than any game he had ever played. Chapter 2 Planet of Doom. The forest was alive with sounds. Branches creaked, unseen creatures rustled, and distant roars echoed through the night sky. My boots crunched against damp soil as I kept my bow drawn, golden light glowing faintly in my grip. Primo called out for Maximus, you there? Or am I supposed to stumble around blind? A metallic chime answered in my head. Then a deep, commanding voice rang out. In GT, System Interface Online. I am Maximus, your guide. Finally, I muttered. I was starting to think you ghosted me. In GT, your survival depends on me, human. Do not joke lightly. Let us review your rules of progression. A blue screen shimmered before me, floating in the air. Experience System, Universal Standard. Defeating low-level monsters, +10 to +20 XP. Defeating boss class monsters, +100 to +500 XP or higher depending on tier. Gaining enough XP increases your level, raising your attributes. Every level up grants +5 stat points to allocate freely. I rubbed my chin. So, basically a video game grind. Kill things, get stronger. I can live with that. In GT, you also possess the pocket dimension granted by the gods. Accessible at will, invisible to outsiders, levitating 10 meters above ground. Within it, you will find a shelter furnished with items from Earth, bed, shower, kitchen, and sustenance. My eyes widened. Wait, hold up. You're telling me I've got an invisible sky house with hot showers and food on tap? In GT, correct. I laughed out loud. Man, screw camping in the woods. That's the best cheat code ever. Still, the forest wasn't safe. I pulled my bow tight, moving cautiously. That's when I heard it, the heavy stomps of something massive. Branches snapped. The ground trembled. The ogre emerged, 12 feet tall, green skin stretched over bulging muscle, its tusks jutting out like ivory daggers. In its hand was a crude tree trunk used as a club. Oh, you've got to be kidding me, I whispered. Tutorial boss fight already. The ogre roared and charged. I rolled sideways, loosing an arrow. The golden bolt shot through the air and slammed into its shoulder with a blast of light. The monster staggered, howling. Another shot to its leg slowed it further. But the thing wasn't going down easy. I sprinted backward, firing in rhythm. Twang, flash, twang, flash. Each arrow carved glowing wounds into its body, but its hide was thick, and my stamina was burning. All right, enough warm-up, I muttered. I drew the bow fully, channeling all my energy. The string hummed like thunder. A massive golden arrow formed, 3 times larger than normal. Eat this. I let go. The arrow blasted through the ogre's chest like a cannon, leaving a smoking hole. The giant staggered, dropped its club, and crashed to the forest floor, shaking the earth. A chime rang in my head. In GT, boss defeated, forest ogre +300 XP. Level up, right pointing arrow level 2. I blinked at the glowing notifications. Damn, one boss and I already hit level 2. Not bad. Another screen appeared. In GT, unique skill activated. Summoner of bosses, you may now summon the forest ogre under your command. The ogre's corpse glowed and began to rise, shrinking slightly before kneeling before me. Its eyes burned faintly gold, no longer savage but obedient. All right, big guy, I said, grinning. From now on, your name's Bolo. The ogre bowed its head. With my new pet tank and a golden bow in hand, I felt my confidence surge. But exhaustion hit me just as quick. My body was still human, still needed rest. Maximus, I sighed, time for that sky house upgrade. A shimmering doorway opened before me. I stepped through, and found myself in a modern loft floating above the treeline. Couch, bed, kitchen stocked with food, and even a hot shower with steam rising from it. I laughed, dropping onto the couch. Man, if this is the afterlife, I should have died sooner. Primo lay back on the couch in his floating pocket dimension, a grin spread across his face. The shower steam was still lingering in the air, food wrappers scattered on the counter, and for the first time since waking in this strange world, he felt a little human again. "All right, Maximus," he muttered. "Let's see the numbers." A familiar chime rang in his mind, and the blue system screen unfolded before him. Notice, stat allocation available, attribute points remaining, 5. I rubbed my chin, staring at the glowing text. So this is where I decide if I end up a glass cannon, a tank, or a genius with no muscles. Maximus's voice rumbled in my head. In GT, choose carefully. Your allocation now will affect not only your survival, but the strategies you may employ against future bosses. I thought about my fights so far. The bow was powerful, but the shots drained stamina fast. If my aim slipped, I could end up face to face with something ugly. Defense wasn't a worry thanks to the antimonium coursing through my body. What I needed was sharper speed and a little more firepower. All right then, I said, tapping the floating panel like it was a game menu. +2 dexterity. I need faster reflexes. +2 intelligence. Stronger arrows and more mana. And +1 strength just in case I actually have to punch something in the face. The screen flickered. Attributes updated, strength, 11 dexterity, 12 intelligence, 17. Immediately I felt the change. My muscles didn't look any bigger, but there was a snap to my movements now, like my body was wired tighter. My thoughts felt sharper too, the bow pulsing in my hand as if it approved of my choice. Yeah, I smirked. This is the start of something dangerous. Maximus's voice rumbled approvingly. In GT, wise allocation. Rest now. Tomorrow, the hunt begins again. Fire. Chapter 3 The Wolves, Gauntlet. The forest was alive with menace. Shadows twisted among the trees, and the low growls of unseen predators echoed through the night. From a distance, I spotted it, a den nestled in a rocky hollow, faint wisps of fog curling from its entrance. Around it, the glint of eyes reflected the moonlight, wolves, probably a full pack, guarding their territory. Bolo, I whispered, crouching low on a branch. That's their den. We've got roughly 20 wolves, level 5 to 9. We can't just rush in or we'll get torn apart. Bolo growled softly, his massive form shifting beneath the tree. I could see his muscles tensing in anticipation. We need a plan, I continued, scanning the pack. We hit from high ground. I pick off the stragglers, and you keep the main group busy. Take them out systematically. My system flickered. In GT, notice, Primo will gain XP from all kills by Bolo or summoned allies. I knocked a golden arrow, surveying the chaos below. The wolves prowled like synchronized predators, flanking one another, testing the terrain. Timing would be everything. I took a deep breath and fired. The arrow shot off, missing a wolf by inches. Another, miss. My aim wasn't perfect. Bolo charged first, leaping into the pack with earth-shaking force. Wolves scattered under his blows, their fangs snapping at the air. Each kill counted as XP for me, +15 XP per wolf. Slowly, I began noticing patterns. The smaller wolves attacked in pairs, rarely running straight, and Bolo could only manage one side at a time. Okay, I muttered. Time to adjust. I moved along the high branches, firing strategically. Arrows now struck heads, shoulders, or flanks. The wolves' numbers dwindled as I coordinated with Bolo. I began to see the rhythm of the hunt, prey, predator, predator, prey, a deadly dance I had to master. Hours, or maybe minutes, time blurred, passed. The forest echoed with growls, snaps, and Bolo's roars. Then the ground shook. A chilling howl cut through the chaos. Emerging from the shadows was the level 12 elite pack master demon wolf, a massive 3-meter beast with 1000 HP, dark fur bristling like armor, and glowing red eyes. Its presence demanded attention. From its side, 3 level 5 wolves materialized instantly, summoner skill activated. Bolo was immediately surrounded, claws and teeth snapping, struggling to keep them off. I realized the truth instantly. I had to take out the boss myself, or the summon loop would overwhelm Bolo. I put away the bow. Liquid antimonium surged through my veins, my arms reshaping into sharp metallic claws. I leapt from the branches, landing between Bolo and the wolves with a metallic thunk. Pain shot through me as my antimonium body flexed, reminding me I was strong but not immortal. The fight exploded. Each punch tore flesh, every swipe shredded wolves summoned by the boss. I staggered under blows from the elite wolf, but my body healed, pain lingering as a sharp reminder. Bolo roared beside me, biting and clawing, keeping the pack at bay while I focused on the boss. The elite wolf's steel bite and relentless summoning pushed me to my limits. Minutes, or hours, passed in a blur of claws, fur, and blood. Every hit, every dodge, every strike demanded focus. I learned to read its movements, anticipating its leaps and lunges. Finally, a perfectly timed strike sent the beast sprawling, collapsing the summoner loop. Silence fell. The low-level wolves were gone, Bolo breathing heavily beside me. From the fallen boss, a great sword shimmered to life, dark runes glowing faintly. Anne's a skill book eagle eye. Bolo sniffed the sword, growled in approval, and nudged it toward me. I knew what this meant. The weapon was his reward. I focused, channeling the 2 enhancement points I had gained from the fight. The sword transformed from a common rank into a silver rank blessed demon blade, attuned to Bolo. Plus 100 strength. Plus 100 health. Plus 50 dexterity. Skill unlocked. Summon Abyssal Hound, a 2-meter elite demon with steel bite and acid-dripping body causing excruciating pain to foes. Bolo swung the sword experimentally, muscles flexing, clearly impressed. The Abyssal Hound hovered nearby, waiting, its acid-drenched body shimmering, but I kept it from fighting until Bolo learned to wield the weapon. Meanwhile, I learned the skill Eagle Eye, and summoned the level 12, 3-meter elite pack master demon wolf myself. Its massive form rose before me, eyes glowing faint gold, obedient to my command. My system chimed. In GT, boss summoned, elite pack master demon wolf. XP notifications followed. In GT, XP gained. 1000 level up, Primo right pointing arrow 5 level up, Bolo right pointing arrow 11. Each level up healed our bodies fully, increased HP by plus 100, mana by plus 100, and plus 1 to all other attributes. And 5 free attributes. I flexed my claws briefly, feeling the rush of power and adrenaline. Pain from the fight lingered, reminding me that even antimonium had its limits. I leaned against a tree, retracting my claws, Bolo standing proudly with his new blade, the Abyssal Hound at his side. Yeah, I muttered, exhaling, this is just the beginning. XP, upgrades, new summons. Next time, we hit smarter, not just harder. Maximus asked, what will you name your new summons? After given it some thought his name will be. The forest settled into a tense silence, shadows stretching across the floor. One truth remained clear. Survival was strategy, power, and coordination, and even then, it came with risk. Chapter 4 Goblin Ambush and Summon Bruno. The smell of smoke and damp moss hung heavy in the air as I crouched low, scanning the tree line ahead. The forest was unnaturally still, no wind stirring the leaves, no birds daring to call. My instincts told me danger was close. Primo, Maximus whispered in my head, his tone sharp, urgent. Detection. Multiple hostile presences, 50+ life signatures. Goblins. Stronger than average. I narrowed my eyes. Normal goblins were pests, fodder for adventurers. But the readings Maximus was giving me made my chest tighten. These weren't the green runts I remembered from games back on Earth. Bolo. Nightshade. On me, I ordered. Bolo grinned, twirling his demon blade casually, his muscles rippling with anticipation. Finally. Something worth cutting down. Nightshade padded silently beside me, his fur bristling, crimson eyes glowing faintly. His growl rumbled low, vibrating in my chest. We broke through a line of trees, and that's when I saw it, the goblin village. The goblin settlement. It was larger than I expected. Crude huts made of logs and bone clustered together around a central bonfire, smoke curling into the canopy above. Children played with sharpened sticks while goblin women tended fires. Warriors, their bodies bulkier than usual, patrolled with jagged iron weapons. But my eyes locked on the one figure that stood above the rest, the goblin champion. He was massive, nearly 5 meters tall, his muscles corded with thick veins. A grotesque scar cut across his face, and in his hands he carried a colossal hammer forged of spiked iron and bone. Maximus' screen flashed in my vision. In GT, Goblin Champion, LV. 15 HP, 2000. STR, 50 Def, 30 Int, 30 Mana, 500. Skills, Hammer Throw, Avalanche, Forced Target. A bead of sweat rolled down my temple. The champion alone would be bad enough, but around him clustered 50 goblins, each one at least level 10. And these weren't small, they were nearly as large as the ogre boss I had slain earlier. Maximus chimed again. Recommendation: eliminate the champion first. Forced target skill may trap you in direct combat. If not neutralized, expect extreme casualties. I nodded, whispering to myself. So it begins. The ambush. We didn't have time to set up. A goblin scout spotted us before I could retreat. His guttural scream echoed through the camp. The village exploded into chaos. Goblins poured out of their huts, howling, snarling, weapons glinting in the firelight. Bolo. Razor. Nightshade. Hold the line. Razor materialized from Bolo's demon blade, dripping with acid, his massive hound form snarling with fury. Together, the three of them clashed with the first wave. Bolo's blade crackled with dark energy as he cut down goblins two at a time, their screams filling the night. Razor's jaws snapped, his acid-coated teeth melting flesh and bone with each bite. Nightshade summoned lesser wolves from the shadows, their forms darting through the mob like phantoms, dragging goblins to the dirt. Even so, there were too many. Every time we dropped one, three more rushed in, their crude weapons biting into my summons. Blood sprayed, shadows swirled, but the numbers pressed on. The champion enters. Then the ground shook. The goblin champion stepped forward, dragging his colossal hammer behind him. Each step thudded like thunder, the goblins parting in reverence. He pointed at me, his voice booming in broken human tongue. You, fight, me. Maximus' screen flashed red. In GT, skill activated, forced target. Suddenly, my body locked. No matter what I tried, my movements dragged me toward him. My claws extended involuntarily, the antimonium shining under the moonlight. My chest tightened as I realized the danger. I was being pulled into a duel against a monster built to crush. The champion raised his hammer and hurled it like a meteor. I barely managed to cross my claws, deflecting some of the blow, but the impact sent me flying into a tree, bark splintering around me. Pain ripped through my chest even as my antimonium body knit back together. I growled, blood dripping from my mouth. Not immortal, just harder to kill. Turning the tide. The champion roared and charged, raising his hammer again. Kong would smash this thing, I muttered under my breath. But Kong wasn't here, it was just me, my claws, and my will. Bolo and Razor fought desperately against the horde, holding back as many goblins as they could, but the champion's focus was mine. Maximus, I hissed, dodging a hammer strike that cracked the earth. Give me openings. In GT, recommendation, target knee joints. Weakness detected at the base of the champion's stance. I lunged low, claws flashing, slashing across the goblin's knee. Sparks flew, flesh tore, and the champion bellowed in rage, staggering slightly. It wasn't enough. He swung downward in retaliation, the hammer slamming into my ribs. My antimonium body cracked, sparks flying as my bones reformed, pain lancing like fire. He laughed, a guttural, cruel sound. Summons overwhelmed. Meanwhile, my summons faltered. Bolo staggered under the weight of wounds, his demon blade slick with blood but his movements slowing. Razor yelped, burned by fire arrows. Nightshade was covered in cuts, his wolves dwindling as goblins overwhelmed them. Primo. Bolo snarled, slamming his blade into the dirt. We can't hold much longer. The champion loomed above me, raising his hammer for the final avalanche strike. The world slowed, my companion's cries echoing in my ears. And then, I remembered my gift. The summoning. I roared, slamming my claw into the ground. The void split open, shadows pouring outward like a flood. The champion froze mid-swing, his yellow eyes widening in sudden fear. The goblins around us shrieked and scattered as a new presence emerged. From the abyss crawled a hulking figure, green skin gleaming under the moonlight, muscles rippling with monstrous power. His eyes glowed crimson, and on his back rested a hammer nearly as large as the champion's. The ground quaked as he roared. In GT, new summon acquired, Bruno, Goblin Champion, LV. 15. The goblins wailed in confusion. Their champion turned his head just in time to see Bruno's hammer smash into his chest. Bone crunched, blood sprayed, and the colossal goblin toppled backward. Aftermath. The battlefield fell silent. The goblins fled in terror, their morale shattered. My summons regrouped, battered but alive. Bolo laughed weakly, leaning on his blade. That was insane. Nightshade patted to my side, licking his wounds, while Razor growled triumphantly, his acid still dripping. I staggered, clutching my ribs, and turned to Bruno. He bowed his head, submitting to my will. Maximus' voice was calm in my mind. In GT, another boss bound. Your army grows. I looked at the shadows swirling in the void, a grin spreading across my face despite the pain. One by one, until they all kneel. Chapter 5 Aisha the Fire Mage. The forest path twisted endlessly beneath the shade of towering oaks, shafts of golden sunlight breaking through in narrow beams. My boots pressed softly against the mossy trail, every step measured, every breath controlled. The gods' warning echoed in my mind like a mantra. Show only what is necessary. Hide your hand, or you'll be destroyed before your true strength ever sees the light. Yet something gnawed at me. The air was wrong. The forest was too still. A sharp crash broke the silence. The struggle. I moved toward the sound, slipping between trees. My enhanced senses picked up the vibrations of combat, and then I saw her. A young woman stood in a clearing, hemmed in by a half-circle of rock golems. They towered above her, their hulking forms moving with unnatural heaviness. Their bodies were slabs of jagged stone held together by veins of glowing energy. Each time she hurled fire at them, sparks exploded harmlessly against their rocky hides. Her flames roared bright, but the golems advanced unfazed. The woman's skin gleamed a radiant golden brown under the sunlight, her long hair spilling down her back as she lifted trembling arms. Her figure was elegant, her stance graceful even as fatigue weighed her down. Fire licked at her fingertips, desperate, but every strike failed to pierce the stone. She was beautiful, yes, but beauty was useless against creatures like these. Maximus' voice murmured in my head. NGT, target identified. Aisha, human, fire mage, level 10, fatigued state, 65%. If not assisted, survival time, less than 3 minutes. So, this was Aisha. The bow unleashed. I raised my hand, and the star bow of the immortals materialized in a glow of golden light. Its string hummed with energy, arrows of pure radiance forming at my will. Eagle's eye, I whispered. Targets locked instantly. Joints. Weak spots. The faint pulsing cores hidden in the golems' chests. The first arrow streaked through the clearing like a comet, striking a golem square in the chest. It shattered instantly, collapsing into rubble. The girl gasped, eyes wide in disbelief. I fired again. Another golden streak split the air. Another golem exploded in dust. Then another. And another. Each shot precise, each strike fatal. By the time the girl realized what was happening, the swarm of golems had dwindled to rubble piles scattered across the clearing. First words. Her chest heaved, sweat beading her brow. She turned, her wide eyes locking onto me. Why you? You saved me, she stammered, her voice soft, trembling. I lowered my bow, its golden light dimming slightly. My tone remained casual, masking the truth of my power. Stay behind me, I'll handle this. She hesitated, her hands still glowing faintly with fire. But, I don't understand, my flames barely singed them. How did you make them vanish so easily? I smirked faintly. Tricks of the bow. Her confession. Once the last golem crumbled, silence fell across the clearing. Aisha approached slowly, still cautious. Her golden brown eyes studied me as though I were a puzzle she couldn't solve. I should tell you something, she whispered at last, her voice edged with shame. I'm a princess, from one of the human kingdoms. By law, no one is allowed to accompany a candidate to Gladiator Academy. That's why I traveled alone. But her voice faltered. I'm only level 10. A princess. That explained the elegance in her bearing, the refinement in her tone. But a princess this weak on a road this dangerous was little more than prey. I stepped closer, my voice steady, commanding. Aisha, if you want to stay alive, you'll obey my orders from now on. Her eyes widened. She hesitated, wrestling with pride and fear. Then, slowly, she bowed her head. I understand. I'll do whatever you say. The void revealed. I raised my hand, and the air shimmered. Shadows twisted, space folded in on itself, and before her astonished eyes, the entrance to my void space appeared. A shimmering rectangle, 15 meters wide and 15 meters tall, pulsed faintly before opening into an entirely different world. Inside glowed a lavish chamber, a bed large enough for royalty, a shining kitchen, couches and furniture straight from Earth, even a big screen TV humming softly with static. Aisha gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. This is incredible, she whispered, stepping cautiously across the threshold. Her eyes darted everywhere, drinking in details. It's like a palace hidden in the air. I've never seen anything like this. Safe, comfortable, private, I explained, stepping inside after her. Here we can rest and plan. Out there, the forest will eat you alive. In here, nothing touches us. She turned slowly in awe, touching the smooth surface of the kitchen counter, staring at the glowing screen. You live like this. It's beyond imagining. The agreement. I leaned casually against the wall, arms crossed. Remember what I said. You follow my orders, you'll survive. Disobey me, and you won't last a day on this road. Her gaze dropped, her voice low but resolute. Then I'll follow. I trust you. For a moment, her golden brown eyes locked on mine, not with fear anymore, but with something else, respect. Maximus' voice echoed in my head. In GT, notice, ally trust established. Void space secured. A quiet evening. The forest outside darkened as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the invisible walls of the void. Inside, the glow of artificial light painted everything in warmth. Aisha sat at the kitchen table, still marveling at the strange food stocked in the refrigerator. She'd picked up a can of soda, turning it over in her hands like it was a relic. It hisses, she whispered, startled as it popped open. I chuckled quietly. Every few moments, her eyes flicked back to me, watching, studying, as if trying to piece together who, or what, I truly was. I stayed alert, my senses stretching beyond the void, monitoring the forest. My claws flexed subtly, the antimonium beneath my skin glinting faintly. My true strength remained hidden, but ready. Closing resolve. At last, I allowed myself a moment to breathe. Aisha had accepted my command. The void offered refuge, and for the first time on this road, I wasn't alone. Gladiator Academy, I murmured, gazing out through the invisible wall toward the distant horizon. We're coming. Aisha glanced at me from the table, her eyes bright, her flames flickering faintly around her fingers as if reflecting her renewed hope. Tomorrow, the journey would continue. But tonight, we had peace.